Creative Eclectic. Hope you're having a fabulous day. Today we're going to talk about cardstock. So you've just received your very first Stampin' Up order with some cardstock. And you might be thinking, well, I'm new to this card making caper. I actually don't know how to cut it and how to get the most out of my cards. Okay, so let me just walk you through what I do when I get a new pack of cardstock. So, cardstock, if you're buying your cardstock from Stampin' Up, you might have received an assortment pack which has a few colours of each sheet. This is the in-colour one, so we know that there's 20 sheets in this pack. Or you might get a basic white pack, which has got 40 sheets in total. Or you might get a pack of thick vanilla or white. Oh, the vanilla also has the same number of sheets, just a basic vanilla, very vanilla. Or there's also a thick cardstock. And then, last but not least, and if I can find it, there's some coloured cardstock. And it's run away on me. But let's get started on the basics. So, the cardstock that you're going to use, probably the most, is your white or vanilla. Now, when I get my pack of cardstock, I cut it in 3 ways. So we're talking about Australian measurements here. If you are in the US, you won't use letter paper. You will use, you won't use A4 paper. Your paper size is different, but the premise is still the same, all right? So, the first thing I do when I get my pack of cardstock is I grab my trusty little scissors and open it up, and I pretty much cut the whole pack. I might keep 3 or 4 pieces that full pieces, but I won't keep many. So I grab my trusty little paper trimmer and I cut it 3 ways. Okay, so firstly I cut it so that I've got some cut for cards that open at the top, and then I cut some so that we've got cards that open at the side. Okay, so let's start with the top opening ones. The third way is for my layers. Okay, now you might decide that you will never make a card that opens at the top, or it will be very, very rare. So, but if you grab your cardstock pack and you put aside 3 or 4 pieces of your white, excuse me, you can use, if you need to later on, you can use this for to make those sort of cards. But let's start with your basic white. Now, I would only use my basic white cardstock for a base if I wasn't adding if I was adding a whole heap of layers to it. If it was just a 2-layer card, I would use a thick white, but it's a similar premise. So my basic white and all my coloured cardstocks, this is the way that I will cut them. So I generally cut around about a third of the pack. So I divide it into, once I've taken out my couple of extra sheets, I divide it into 3. So the first third of the pack, I will cut at 10.5 centimetres. So it's basically 4 1/8. I think that's right. Okay, so we're cutting it in half vertically. Now, lots of people, they will score their card before they cut them. I don't always, like if I'm cutting it like this, I won't, because sometimes I might want to fold it in a different way. So I just cut it. So I will cut a third of the remaining cardstock in, just straight down the centre in half. So that's my first lot of card bases, okay? And I'll put them to one side. The next way that I cut my white and my colours is that I will cut it at 14.9 centimetres. So it's basically 5 7/8 of an inch. So I'm cutting it in half, but I'm just cutting it in half the other way. Now, I normally would cut with a guillotine because I have a lot to cut. So I know that when I've cut my cardstock, that I'm going to use at least a third of my pack is going to be this sort of card. All right. The next way I'm going to cut is I'm going to cut some layers. So this is where it is a little bit trickier, and I work in inches, but of course you can adjust it to centimetres to suit you. So first up, we're going to make, you'll end up making 4 cuts. So this will give you a standard card front base, and I like to do this whenever I get a new pack of cardstock, because I want to, when I'm creating, just get to and create. I don't want to spend heaps of and waste heaps of time having to cut cardstock. So the first cut that I'm going to make on the short edge, and I can't tell you what it will be for US sizes. I will find that out and I'll put that in the comments. And I've got ink on my finger. Oh, great. That's okay. I can turn it over and use the magical other side. So the first cut that I'm going to make on the short edge is I'm going to cut it at 7.5 centimetres. So the reason I'm showing you 7.5 inches. The reason I'm showing you this way is so you can see how to cut your cardstock with the least amount of cuts. Okay, so I'm just going to use my cutting blade and cut up. So I have a bag where I put all of my scraps like this, and I keep them for a while, and so that I've got some for sentiments and stuff like that a lot of the time. And then after a couple of months, if I haven't used them in the bag, I donate them to all my cardstock straps to art groups and things like that. Then we're going to turn it round, and we're going to make our next cut on the long edge at 11 inches. Now I find this is the most efficient way of cutting. Now this is our layered pieces. Now I need to put a new blade in, so I can only cut one way on my stamping trimmer at the moment. So now we're going to cut, and I'm going to just close this bit here, and then we're going to cut at 5.5 inches. Then we're going to turn it around, and I wouldn't cut more than 2 pieces together, but you can layer the 2 pieces, not with one of these trimmers, like you might be able to with a big guillotine, but most people don't have that, so we'll just... So the next cut we're going to make, we've put our 2 layers together, is approximately 9.5 centimetres or 3 3/4 inches. Okay. So what this does is it gives us a foundation piece. Okay. Now you can, so if you've cut almost a third of your pack like this, you've got lots of layers. If you need to die cut, this size goes through the mini stamping emboss machine as well as other die cutting machines. Okay, and so they're my 3 ways that I would cut my basic white, my vanilla, and my coloured cardstock. Now, let's talk about our thick cardstock. So we've got some thick vanilla here. I basically don't use this for layering. Okay, I would only use it for card bases. So I would only cut it 2 ways. So I would only cut it at my 4.9 or 5 7/8 of an inch, 14.9 or 5 7/8 of an inch mark in half like that to make I think they call it a hamburger style card. And then the other way I would cut it is with a at 10.5 centimetres or 4 1/8 of an inch. Okay. Now, as I said before, the reason I don't score all of these when I'm cutting them is because unless I know that I'm going to use, I'm going to make 20 cards that are all either this way or this way. Like if I know, I've got a specific project, I would score them before I cut. But yeah, when I'm ready to use them, I'll just grab my piece here. I'm going to score it at 14.9 centimetres or 5 7/8, and I'll just score this. Now, when you're scoring, you see you've got your score line. Other people you can use a scoring board or all sorts of things. This is just the easiest way. All right, I found. Or if you don't have a scoring attached scoring blade, what you can do is you can take your pick tool and you've got a stylus attachment to that. Let's just grab that stylus attachment if I can find where I put it. I'm going to grab our stylus attachment. Because I'm using thick cardstock, I'm going to use my thin stylus. I'll just grab my thick vanilla cardstock, line it up here at 14.9 centimetres or 5 7/8 of an inch. And I'm just going to run my stylus down here. A nice crisp line. So then, once you've scored, you're going to fold it. So most people would think, oh, you're going to fold it towards the same way as the score line. You don't want to. You want to fold it to the opposite way, and then just get your bone folder and just crease it. Okay? And the reason you're folding it the opposite way is just because it has less resistance. Okay, so that's those two bases. Again, if you've got your other thick vanilla in the other direction, we're going to score that one at 10.5 centimetres or 4 1/8 of an inch. And if you don't have a scoring blade, just use your paper trimmer. And again, use your stylus tool. Okay. And you've got your card bases like that. And again, your bone folder will make them sit nice and flat. Okay, so you can do your whole pack, or when you get a pack of thick white cardstock, do almost the whole pack. All right, these will fit perfectly into a C6 size envelope, so they will be great for posting. All right. Okay, so you're not going to pay extra for postage. All right, so that is your basics on how to score and to cut your cardstock. All right, so the reason I don't cut this size also is sometimes your images will be bigger than this, and you want to die cut something that's a bit bigger, or you want to die cut a box or something like that. And that's also why you always keep a couple of sheets of whatever pack that you have that you haven't cut down from an A4. And you'll find that saves you a lot of time with your card making. So you can just go into your craft room and grab, or your craft space, or your cupboard or whatever, and you can grab your card bases that are already cut. So you don't have to think about what you need to card or what you don't have. And basically when you're getting down to your last few sheets of whatever colour it is, you know, all right, well, it takes about a week for my Stampin' Up order to arrive. I need to order some now. And the reason that I get assorted packs, so this is the new in colour assorted pack. And the reason I get these is because when you first look at colours, you might not like them, but you might find that you need to have some different colour layers, so to coordinate together. So this is a really great way of getting lots of coordinating colours at a fraction of the cost, and you won't have too much wastage, because you really don't want to waste your cardstock. You just want to have a nice selection that all coordinates together that you're going to use. And like, for example, I was going through my craft room the other day and I discovered I had 4 packets of pale papaya cardstock. Now that's been out for, it was released about 14 months ago. I haven't even opened a packet. And it's not that I don't like it, it just doesn't fit into what I've been creating. So if I had have bought an assorted pack, instead of buying a few packs of each colour, or a few packs of papaya, I could have worked out really quickly, well, that's not a colour that I use a lot of. Okay, now I really recommend that you try, when you get your pack of cardstock, that you cut it straight away. Save yourself some time, and it will definitely make your crafting life easier. Okay, hope you enjoyed today's Tuesday tip, and we will see you next time. Until then, happy creating.